The Superman face. Justice League is directed by Zack Snyder and stars Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Ezra Miller, Ray Fisher, and Henry Cavill. And this is the 5th movie in the DCEU and the first big ensemble Avengers type movie for the DCEU. That is the DC Extended Universe, which is basically this new version of the DC Comics in the cinematic universe. It's the MCU equivalent. If you don't know that, then...
Now, we did see this opening night. Unfortunately, we're a little late in getting this review up. But if you haven't seen it already, stop what you're doing, stop the video, because we will be talking spoilers. So you have been warned. So we're going to talk positives first about this movie. And one of the things I really liked was that they went back to it looking like a comic book. There was a lot of shots in there that you were just like, you know, like a pow kind of. Not that there's a pow screaming in your face, particularly with Batman, because Batman, there's this one shot in the beginning where he's perched like Batman, and you're just like, yes. Inside, I just was leaping for joy at that one little 2-second shot, and I was like, that's good. That's good. Especially it being at the beginning. Yeah. I thought it was great.
Most of the Batman scenes are just so great because, as far as I can tell, most of it was done by a person, a stunt person or Ben Affleck. It wasn't all CGI like some of the other characters had to be. The casting was a great positive. I don't think I noticed a character in this movie that was miscast. Ezra Miller as the Flash, he was fun. He did good for his character. His character was given more comic relief, as was Aquaman, played by Jason Momoa. But, I mean, Jason Momoa, he's such a cool-looking guy that he can play the tough guy and he can be the comic relief. And I really enjoyed his character.
And plus, he pulled off the fact that Aquaman is not that popular of a superhero, and he still made him cool and enjoyable at the same time, which I thought was impressive.
Yeah. Ray Fisher as Cyborg was probably the most interesting character. Other than Batman, he was the only character that I want a just solo origin story movie for. I mean, maybe not even an origin story, but just his own movie, because he was such an interesting character. I actually liked the way he walked. He had some attitude to him.
He has a cool backstory.
He does.
You kind of want more. You get a little bit of it, but there, I think, was the most character development of any of the new characters, and I think probably because he was probably the most interesting again.
Yeah,
which is why they chose to make him the more developed of the other two. Yeah, but.
And the way he comes into his power is more by accident, and same with the Flash. And I like there's the scene where they're digging up Superman's body, and they're connecting in the sense that they are the mistakes. And I love that interchange between them. I'm like, that's what we want more of. We want more character interactions and less flair from the villain. Yeah. Who was awful, Steppenwolf.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
There's also a really cool scene with Superman when they had just resurrected him, basically, and they're not sure if he is the Superman that they know, because right now he's still almost delirious trying to figure out what world he's in, because obviously he just came back to life. Yeah. He's not quite sure who these people are, really, except for the fact that he remembers Batman killing him. So obviously he's mad at Batman, and Wonder Woman is obviously very strong, but Superman is the strongest superhero of all time. He can do anything. And I love the interaction between all of them and Superman, because Superman basically has Wonder Woman in a death grip or whatever, and he's keeping Aquaman at bay too. And so the Flash is trying to save them by going at lightning fast speed. And it is hilarious because in all of his scenes, he's moving faster than everybody, so everybody else is frozen. But when he's running past Superman turns, and his head is moving as fast as Flash, so he's keeping up with Flash, because obviously Superman is as fast as a speeding bullet. So it is so funny when Flash realizes that Superman's fast, and he can see the Flash even though he's going super fast. And I love that shot of him just turning in slow motion. Yeah. It was so great. I love that.
The way they pulled off the Flash was very similar to how they used Quicksilver in X-Men Days of Future Past and X-Men Apocalypse. The way they did that, it was so entertaining. It raised the bar for that kind of character. And then Justice League, Zack Snyder or Joss Whedon, whoever actually directed those scenes. I wouldn't say they're better than the X-Men scenes, but they're very similar and they're fun and funny.
And different.
I really enjoyed those scenes, especially that part when the Flash has to go run and save the civilians that are in the truck, and he's like has to push them off the battlefield. And then Superman catches up to him and he's like slow poke, and I love that scene because it's like, wait, so is Superman faster than the Flash? Like every nerd just had their minds blown from that scene. And then obviously you got that scene where Superman's flying the building, saving a building load of people while Flash just saved a carload. The post-credit scene, if you didn't stay for post-credit scenes, you missed some pretty important stuff and entertaining stuff. The first post-credit scene or mid-credit scene is a race between Flash and Superman, which you don't see the end result, you just see the beginning. But again, all the nerds' minds were exploding. Mine was too. I'm like, yes, we get to see this. And I knew that they weren't going to show us who won. Not yet, at least. Maybe we'll get a joke in a future movie, if we get a future movie with this cast. And then the post-credit scene is a continuation of the villains. Lex Luthor's out of prison, and Deathstroke shows up, who's supposed to be the main villain in the Batman movie. So that's really all that happens. There's just so much fun in this movie. And a lot of it, I think, was from Joss Whedon because he had to step in. I think he just grabbed a hold of this movie and he's like, we need to add more humor in it. So I felt like it was well placed in most of the times that it comes out, but some of it I just thought took place of character development just for a joke, just for a quick laugh. And that's unfortunate because it's only a 2-hour movie, which I honestly would love to see a longer version of this movie. And I'm so looking forward to, hopefully they release an ultimate cut because there were a lot of trailer scenes in the trailers that were cut from this movie that looked amazing.
So let's talk negatives. I think one of the most anticipated moments of the movie is when they resurrect Superman, which is an awesome concept, and what happens afterward is also great because it's kind of like this villain Superman that's fighting the rest of them. But the moment he's resurrected was the most laughable moment in the entire movie, and I was literally floored at how awful it was. Like when he comes up out of the thing, I was just like, what the?
It was not
bad.
good. It was not good at all.
So disappointing after all the build up to it, and you know what's gonna. You're like, oh my gosh, they're gonna resurrect Superman. It was just like a total letdown, like bubble bursting.
Now I like the fact that he fights against the Justice League, and none of them can seem to overpower him. Not even together they defeat him. But the biggest letdown of that scene is Henry Cavill's face, because if you don't know, he was filming another movie at the time of filming Justice League.
No offense, Henry Cavill.
Yeah, all respect. He was filming another movie and he wasn't allowed to shave his mustache and slight beard. Which, first off, I gotta ask: isn't Superman more of an important character to your career than this character? I don't know, I forget what movie he was playing in, I think it's a war movie. It did not look right because they had to CGI his mustache, his facial hair off, and it was just, she didn't even know.
I didn't know, and I literally, it got to the point where I hate talking in movie theaters, but sometimes I just have to say something, so I leaned over to him and was like, what is wrong with his face?
I had to tell him, like, oh, he had a mustache while he was filming?
Yeah.
So they had to just
and I mean, like, couldn't they have spent a little more time with that? Because, I mean, you think about movies like Tron that reconstruct an entire young face of Jeff Bridges. And, that was distracting.
Yeah. That was 7 years ago.
But it was 7 years ago. And that was really, really good.
Yeah.
And now to have just get rid of a mustache, you can't, I don't know, he just seemed like a doll.
He did.
action figure, I guess.
That's
would be better.
not the only part of CGI or really just the film that kind of throws you off. Everything is over-processed and over-color corrected and just
stylized.
To where it looks, almost everything looks fake. And unfortunately, there were reshoots. Some of them stick out like a sore thumb. Like there's the scene where Aquaman walks into the water and then he's talking to Bruce Wayne. And they do more of a close-up on Aquaman, and it's like, that's a green screen. He doesn't even look like he's there. The lighting is completely different. The background is just floating. It just didn't look right. That being said, some of the CGI on the villain, Steppenwolf, was okay. The main problem I have with him is that he is purely CGI. There's nothing about him that was real, that was actually filmed. It was all created in a computer. His character had no depth because all he does, the plot of the movie is Steppenwolf comes to Earth because he's angry, because he was defeated in his last time here trying to destroy the Earth. So he gets all the mother boxes to destroy the Earth again, and Justice League has to stop him. That's the plot.
But he does it discreetly at first, and then all of a sudden he's destroying everything, and I'm just like, little inconsistencies.
He's just overpowered. I mean, none of the Amazonians can stop him. And then we get the Justice League, which Batman is just a man. He has no real special powers. Sure, he's rich and he's got all these gadgets, but he stands no chance against him, even with his machines. The Flash, he's just fast. Okay, Aquaman, he's strong. He can swim
Has a
fast.
trident.
Wonder Woman is an Amazonian. She's a god killer, so that she's the most likely. And obviously, Superman, when he comes in, he's the most likely.
But still, he's just an alien.
And Cyborg is just a cyborg. He's a cybernetic organism, like
who can be controlled by the things.
So just none of it really. The villain was overpowered, completely CGI, and devoid of any character. So it was just a bad choice.
Yes.
Not that Steppenwolf was a bad choice for a villain, just the way they handled him. Everything about that character was a bad choice.
So overall, I did enjoy this movie a lot more than I thought I would going into it. My expectations were just kind of eh. We'll see how it goes. I definitely liked it better, but even after a week, I do feel like it took every ounce of energy to remember what happened in this movie, because a lot of it is just very forgettable, I think. So with all of that said, there were some enjoyable moments, but there were also a lot of just roll your eyes, laughable moments. And for those reasons, I give Justice League a B-.
I definitely enjoyed this movie. It's no Avengers. It's definitely not a Captain America Civil War, but it's definitely better than some of the other DC movies like Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman, but it's not quite as good as the other two, Wonder Woman and Man of Steel. This movie just has a kind of forgettable and anticlimactic climax. Like, nothing really happens in this movie, and also you got to kind of compare Justice League to the Avengers, whereas the Justice League just kind of shows up to the climax and just, all right, let's go in there and start fighting. The Avengers actually like calculates and plans something. This one, they just kind of went in there and started fighting. That being said, I still really did enjoy this movie. There were a lot of fun moments. The shots, some of the shots look amazing, really stylized, and the return of Danny Elfman's Batman theme was incredible. It only played once that I know of, but it was enough to make me smile for a long time. For all those reasons, I gotta give Justice League a B+. And there is a lot of stuff that it could have done better, but for their first shot at a big ensemble movie, it wasn't a total failure by any means.
So what did you guys think? Did you like it, love it, or hate it? We want to know in the comment section below.
And if you like this video, be sure to give it a big old thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you hit that bell icon next to the subscribe button so you can be notified of when we upload new content. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.